Hey everyone, it's Byron again. I'm here to testify for Jesus Christ. I'm going to continue on with some of my talking about the Jezebel spirit, the spirit of control, and the things that spirit does through people to try to control you. And I'm going to go back to Jan Boshoff, or Final Call 07. I'm going to explain to you what God had revealed, or how God had revealed him to me in a certain area or a certain arena. And I'm going to explain, also go back and cover actually how he was trying to do me, or very definitely he was doing other people, and it very much so can still be the case today. Although, anytime that you confront a person in that situation, I'm not saying that he did this specifically, but I'm telling you that some people, oh, you're just misunderstanding me. I didn't mean that, and all that stuff. So. This was a dream back probably 2011, something like that. I actually was in a setting in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I had lived at one time during my life. Markham Street. I actually remember the street name and all that. I was in a house next door to the house that I used to live in. And I didn't understand why I was in the house next door to the house, but these were duplexes. There was a like an apartment. I said a house, but it's actually an apartment. Apartment here is right beside it. There's another another apartment. And I began to go to the front door, and as I did, I looked out, and Jan was walking from right to left as if he had come out of the apartment next to me, the duplex next to me. And he walked right across in front of the door. We just looked at each other. And then he walked over into the driveway of the place that I physically lived back from 1988 till probably 92. In that driveway was a car, and working on that car was a man. Now, this guy, if I'm going to refer over to the dream about the animals going the wrong way down the road, the guy that was working on the car that Jan joined was a guy who had had the dream, and I interpreted the dream, and I told him, you're going the wrong way, the people were going the wrong way, or those animals on the side of the road were going the wrong way, and now I see Jan joining a guy who God has told me or shown me is going the wrong way. Now, it's very interesting that the guy that I gave the interpretation to actually stated, no, that can't be it. That cannot be what's happening. I had absolutely no other reason to mention that or to say that except God had spoken to me. And then I saw Jan Boshoff walk over there and go and be with the guy who was in that dream with the animals, and he going the wrong way. I actually told him it was his church. Now, in another dream, one time, and this is separate, but a helpful explanation here, and a lead into another situation. But the guy who had had the dream about the horses going the wrong way, he was going the wrong way, and I explained to him that, that's your church, you're going the wrong way, they're going the wrong way, doom and gloom's ahead. He'd also been in another dream in which he was in my house in Decatur, Alabama, where I grew up. He was in a bedroom there. There was a lady and I sitting there doing video equipment or setting video equipment up together. And the guy was there. He ran over or came over to the video equipment, knocked the computer over, and then went out a back door. Now, going out that back door, if you look for the foreign infiltration dream, where I've got it on here, it talks about a foreign infiltration. It's speaking of the infiltration into the church or into the body of Christ by foreigners, but it also, can also mean there's an infiltration into this country, and that's how I saw it. But right after I had done the dream, I was given understanding that was dealing with the church. So anyway, I have this one guy who I told was going the wrong way. God told me to interpret it that way. He didn't change the way he was going. I saw him again in Fort Bragg, North Carolina in a dream, working on a car, and then Jan Boshoff joining him. And then once again in the bedroom, stepping out into the backyard. And if you go to the foreign infiltration dreams and you listen to that, I got to tell you that the tough guy at the end of the dream who was trying to catch me was, in fact, representation of Jan Boshoff. There's still one more dream out there. Now here's what's interesting about all this. And I'm going to say Jezebel, the Jezebel spirit, those things that, those people out there that want to control you and all that stuff. In the video I said that Jan had related to about me, he actually related information that I had provided to him through conversation, through videos, or whatever, maybe through emails and things like that. So in the video that he produced, he related information to me that was of the effect I had given him, or I had already provided to him. So when he related that information and stated also in the same video that you may have heard from God 2 years ago, you may have heard 3, 4, or maybe 5 years ago, but you haven't heard lately. I just want to point out that while that spirit of control was attempting to gain control over me, God was showing me information to identify that. I did the Apache helicopter flying thing. That's where he flew the Apache helicopter on the night. That's in a video that's already out as well. So as you experience these people, one of the characteristics, or one of the things that you will find, is they love information. The more information they can get, the happier they are. And they'll ask you questions, and the questions will be almost like, give me something that I can use, but in a innocent way. Well, how's your family? How is this going? Well, what do you think about this, etc., etc.? And then later when they begin to spring their trap, they'll take all this information that they were unable to get through a spiritual means, but through earthly means, they got on you, and they will begin to use that. I've got a person in my life now still harping on things that happened over 8 years ago. I have attempted to the very best of my ability to absolutely ignore or remove myself from this person's presence, and they continue to attack me and also my wife, who has no relationship to the issue, with threats and things like that. So when these people lose control, when you remove yourself from their presence, or actually when you're in their presence and they're attempting to maintain control, they will use whatever information they can get to their advantage. Here's another thing. If they believe that they may be losing control, or, say for example, hey, I'm going away, I'm not coming back anymore, this is over, things like that, they can suddenly turn into a sweet little angel and draw you back in. You'll see that in, I believe it's in 2 Kings, when it's talking about Jehu going to Jezebel. Now, Jezebel was this threatening kind of person when she was threatening Elijah in 1 Kings. But Elijah anointed Jehu to take out Jezebel. When he marched or rode up to there, Jezebel was primping in the mirror. You can read it, it's verbatim. But she was primping in the mirror, and I can imagine it was kind of like, oh, hello, Jehu. But she also used a very interesting statement when she said that. She said, had Zimri peace. I believe that's how it said it. Anyway, Zimri was a guy earlier who had killed the king of Israel to take the throne, put himself into a house, and then the house burned down on him. So she was like saying to Jehu, you're going to come kill me like I'm the king, and then are you going to have peace after you kill me? You see the trickery there? It's like God sent you to kill me, but I'm telling you, if you do, you're not going to have any peace, because Zimri didn't have peace. That's what she's trying to do. They will use anything they can to bend, turn, whatever, and then when you catch them in it, they will say, no, you're crazy, call you a lot of names, this and that, even use the term, I'm sorry you feel that way. But that is the case, verbatim. I've gone to counselors, I've gone to psychiatrists, I've gone to all this stuff, and finally ended up with the Lord. And I'm telling you, from a counselor to a psychiatrist to the Lord, it's verbatim. That's how they roll every time. So you need to be aware of that. And I'm saying these things not necessarily for my own benefit, but these are for the benefit of people who innocently are trying to follow the Lord, and somebody constantly picking on them, picking on them, picking on them. They're hanging out in church and they're picking on you. It's like, well, why are you going to do that? Well, you got to see what I'm saying. That's how Jezebel keeps the church lukewarm, is by using these people to interfere with your walk with God. The best thing to do, and I tell new Christians this, I'll tell them this every single time I have the opportunity. I'll tell them, you would be better off praying to God, asking Him to give you understanding of the Bible, getting a King James version of the Bible, reading that Bible, and praying that God would give you understanding, more so than going to a church where they're going to give you this list of things that is powerless, just like the law. And the Spirit has to be used, the Holy Spirit, to counter the powerlessness of the law, the powerlessness of the list, etc. You got to understand, these are actual spiritual things, spiritual warfare being used every single day to put you down, to put you down, to put you down. That's, I guess that's how, or why God had me live the life that I've lived, is be able to explain that in enough illustration that maybe you would come to understand that. There is a thing, and there was a thing inside me, and there still is, that you long to not do that. You long to not isolate yourself from certain people. It's like, gosh, maybe I should give this person one more try, this and that. I can tell you, in the case of the Jezebel spirit operating, it's not a matter of, well, maybe this time it's going to get it. She's hanging out. She's waiting for the attack over and over and over again. So God bless you all. I look forward to continuing on, meeting folks and things like that. And I'm going to tell you that, I haven't necessarily gotten to this part right now. And there's a lot of things that I haven't shared the Lord has given me, but there are many things coming to this earth that the Lord has shown me. But not only just shown me, shown my friends. And I have a lot of friends we're all barking on the same trail. It's like, holy cow, you got that last night and I got this last night. And, there's things coming. And unfortunately, there's people who can boldly call you weird and crazy, who God has literally blinded their eyes. And most of the time in the Bible is when God does that, it's mostly, I guess, due to unbelief or believing a lie or something like that. There could be a lie out there, but people's eyes are closed to what's going on around them. They keep thinking that maybe somebody's going to come along to save this. And I'm gonna tell you, the guy who comes along, presents himself to be able to save this world and make things turn around, he is the Antichrist. He's coming. He's coming. Just as sure as I'm standing here, he is going to be here in my lifetime. But I'm telling you, it's quicker than a normal lifespan. I'm telling you that we have very little bit of time left. So thank you all. I'll be back. I appreciate anyone questions that are sincere, truly trying to follow the Lord. I have some outstanding friends, supporters, people that have walked with me on this road now for some up to 5 years and maybe 6 years. But I have some people I can put you in contact with, or I can do that. It appears that the Lord doesn't let me get too tied up with too much, but help is there, man. And then there's people that you may be able to associate with as you're attempting to make these transitions into truly following the Lord in the hot category as opposed to the lukewarm category. Thank you.